If you have been eating less, moving more, doing everything right, and the fat around your middle is still there, this is for you. Not because you are not trying hard enough, because nobody told you that belly fat is not a diet problem. It is a hormone problem, specifically a morning hormone problem, one that starts within 30 minutes of waking up every single day. Regardless of what you eat, regardless of how much you exercise, regardless of how disciplined you are. In Japan, where obesity rates sit at roughly 4% compared to over 40% in the United States, they are not thinner because they try harder. They are thinner because they understood this one thing a very long time ago. And in the next 20 minutes, I am going to show you the 7 morning habits they use to solve it, including one specific way of drinking water that most people in the Western world get completely wrong every single morning, and one final habit, the last one on this list, that most morning routines never even consider. It is about what you should not be putting into your brain in the morning, and it is the reason most people fail before they even start. Stay with me, because habit 5 is the one that changes how your body processes sugar for the entire rest of the day. You do not want to skip that one. Before the 7 habits, one thing worth understanding about why Japan consistently produces naturally slim bodies without the effort Western culture has convinced us is necessary. It is not genetics. A study published in the American Journal of Human Biology compared Japanese people living in Japan with Japanese Americans eating and living Western lifestyles. The weight gap between the two groups was explained almost entirely by daily habit differences, not genetic variation. The same genes, completely different bodies, because of what happens in the morning. The morning window, those first 60 minutes, has a larger metabolic impact on your body than almost any other hour of the day. What you do in that window either signals your body to burn fat or to store it. Japan chose one answer a very long time ago: 7 habits. Let us go through all of them. Habit 1. The warm water ritual. And the specific way most of the world gets this completely wrong. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep with zero fluid intake, your body wakes up dehydrated. Your liver, which regulates metabolism and breaks down stored fat, is working at reduced capacity. Your cortisol awakening response, the natural hormone spike that occurs within 30 minutes of waking, is already climbing. Most people's first instinct is to reach for coffee immediately before anything else. Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman describes hitting a dehydrated, cortisol-rising body with immediate caffeine as close to pouring fuel on a fire that is already lit. The cortisol spike goes higher. It stays elevated longer. And elevated morning cortisol is the primary hormonal driver of abdominal fat storage. Japan drinks warm water first. Not cold, warm. The warmth gently signals the digestive system to come back online after sleep, sometimes with a small pinch of sea salt to replenish the sodium and magnesium the body processes overnight. Magnesium is the body's natural brake on the cortisol system. It actively helps regulate that morning hormone spike rather than amplifying it. A study from the University of Alabama found that vitamin C significantly reduced cortisol spikes following stress events. A squeeze of lemon into that warm water provides it. Now, a quick note on this because I have seen your comments and I want to address it directly. If you have a sensitive stomach or acid reflux, lemon on an empty stomach may not work for you. That is completely fine. Plain warm water with a pinch of sea salt produces most of the same benefit. The lemon is an addition, not the requirement. Your stomach comes first. Always listen to your body. Tonight, place a glass on your kitchen counter where you will see it before you see anything else tomorrow morning. Warm water first. With lemon if your stomach handles it well, with just salt if it does not. Before the coffee, before the phone, before anything else. That is where the morning begins. Habit 2. Morning light, the metabolic reset your body has been waiting for. Within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking, your eyes need natural outdoor light. Not through a window, not from a screen, outside, where the full spectrum reaches you without glass filtering it. Your body runs on a 24-hour biological clock that governs when hormones are released, when metabolism peaks, and when fat is burned versus stored. This clock is calibrated every single morning by one input above all others: light. Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute has found consistently that people who do not receive morning light show disrupted cortisol curves, impaired metabolism, and elevated abdominal fat accumulation. The cascade is precise. Morning light triggers serotonin during the day. Serotonin becomes melatonin at night. Melatonin produces deep restorative sleep. Deep sleep produces a calmer cortisol curve the next morning. A calmer cortisol curve means less fat storage signal all day. One 5-minute action in the morning sets up your hormones for the next 24 hours. Now, I know many of you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning when it is still completely dark. I have seen your comments on this, and I want to speak directly to you. If that is your situation, do not worry. You can still do habits 1, 3, and 7 immediately upon waking. Simply go outside the moment the sun actually crests the horizon, even if that means stepping out briefly before work begins. Your body will still receive and process the light signal. It does not need to happen in the first 30 minutes of your waking. It needs to happen in the first 30 minutes of available daylight. The biology is about the light, not the clock on your wall. In Japan, this is built into the sampo, the short morning walk, often just to the station or a nearby shrine, that millions of people take not for fitness, but as the natural beginning of the day. Tomorrow morning, after your warm water, step outside for 5 to 10 minutes. If it is dark when you wake, go when the sun arrives. Stand at the door if walking is not possible. 5 minutes. The reset begins immediately. Now, these first 2 habits are preparing your body at a hormonal level, but there is a third layer building quietly underneath them. And habit 3 is where most people are unknowingly creating a cortisol problem that arrives 6 hours later. Habit 3. The 90-minute rule, and why your morning coffee is causing your 3 o'clock craving. Do not drink coffee for the first 90 minutes after waking. I know. Stay with me. When you wake up, your brain is saturated with adenosine, the molecule that produces the groggy, heavy feeling of morning. Your body clears adenosine naturally within approximately 90 minutes of waking. Coffee works by blocking the receptors adenosine binds to, which is why it makes you feel alert. But if you drink coffee before that natural clearing happens, you are not removing the adenosine. You are covering it. It sits behind the caffeine and waits. When your coffee wears off in the afternoon, all of that backlogged adenosine arrives at once. Your body reads this crash as a stress event. Cortisol rises in response, and cortisol rising in the afternoon drives sugar cravings, fat storage, and the particular kind of 3 o'clock exhaustion that most people have simply accepted as how afternoons feel. It is not how afternoons feel. It is what early morning coffee has been quietly setting up all day. The Japanese concept of ma, the intentional pause, the deliberate gap, applied here simply means giving your body those 90 minutes to do what it was going to do anyway before you interrupt it with a stimulant. Dr. Huberman delays his own caffeine by 90 to 120 minutes every single morning. The description he uses consistently: clean, sustained energy, no jagged edges, no afternoon crash. And we have talked about what to put in your body in the morning. But the final habit at the end of this video, habit 7, is about what you should not be putting into your brain. And it is the reason most morning routines fall apart before they even get started. Keep watching. Tomorrow, drink your warm water. Get your morning light. And when 90 minutes have passed since you woke up, have your coffee. 3 days. Give it 3 days before you decide. Habit 4, Hara Hachi, eating to 80% full. This is the habit most consistently cited when researchers study why Okinawa, Japan's southernmost island, one of the blue zones where people regularly live past 100, produces people who are slim, energetic, and metabolically healthy well into their 80s. Hara Hachi means stop eating at 80% full. Not satisfied, not stuffed, 80%. Here is the biology. Your brain receives the signal that your stomach is full approximately 20 minutes after sufficient food has arrived. 20 minutes. If you eat at the pace most people were raised with, fork rarely leaving the hand, plate expected to be finished, you can consume significantly more than your body needs in those 20 minutes before the signal arrives. A study in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics found that eating at half the usual pace reduced intake by an average of 88 calories per meal without any sensation of deprivation. 88 calories, 3 meals, 7 days, without a single dietary restriction. Now, I want to be honest with you here because I think this builds trust. This is personally the hardest habit on this list for me. When the food is genuinely delicious, stopping at 80% is genuinely difficult. So here is the specific trick that actually helps. Halfway through the meal, put your utensil completely down, not beside the plate, down. Take 3 slow breaths. Place one hand on your stomach and ask yourself one question. If I stopped right now, would I feel fine in 20 minutes? That 3-breath pause is not just a mindfulness exercise. It is a biological intervention that gives the satiety signal enough time to begin arriving before you have already eaten past it. The Japanese use chopsticks and small serving dishes to build this pause naturally into every meal. You can build it in with 3 breaths. At your next meal, put your fork or spoon down completely after every 3rd bite. 3 breaths after the halfway point. 1 question. That is the entire practice. Now, these first 4 habits are building the foundation at the hormonal and metabolic level. But habit 5 is the one I promised you at the beginning. The one that changes how your body processes sugar for the entire rest of the day, and it goes against everything most people have been told about losing belly fat. Habit 5, the morning walk and why it is more powerful for fat loss than an intense gym session. Most people trying to lose belly fat believe the answer is more intensity. Harder workouts, higher heart rate, more calories burned per session. The research tells a different story for abdominal fat specifically. A study in the Journal of Endocrinological Investigation found that high-intensity exercise performed during the morning cortisol window can keep cortisol elevated for up to 4 hours after the workout ends. You feel the endorphins in the moment. But hormonally, your body spends those 4 hours in an elevated stress and fat storage state. Intense morning exercise for many people is making the belly fat problem worse, not better. Japan's answer is the sanpo, a gentle, purposeful morning walk, 20 to 30 minutes, unhurried, outside. Stanford researchers identified something called optic flow, the visual experience of the world moving past your peripheral vision as you walk forward through it. This specific pattern of visual motion has a documented calming effect on the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. When the amygdala calms, cortisol de-escalates. When cortisol de-escalates in the morning window, the fat storage signal diminishes. A study from George Washington University found that 3 10-minute walks through the day, especially after meals, reduced blood sugar spikes by up to 58%. Blood sugar regulation is the direct upstream mechanism for insulin control. And insulin, not calories alone, is the primary hormonal driver of abdominal fat storage. The morning walk regulates cortisol. The post-meal walk regulates blood sugar and insulin. Together, they address the two primary hormonal drivers of belly fat without 1 minute in a gym. Tomorrow morning, take a 20-minute walk. No phone in your hand for the first 10 minutes. Let your eyes move. Let the world pass your peripheral vision. That optic flow is the mechanism. Let it work. And after dinner tonight, even 10 minutes around the block. That single post-meal walk cuts the insulin spike from your dinner by more than half. Habit 6, green tea, what Japan calls its daily internal heater. Japan drinks green tea every day, multiple times, not as a wellness trend, as simply what is in the cup. The active compound responsible for its metabolic effects is EGCG. Here is what it actually does in plain language. EGCG acts like a natural internal heater for your metabolism. It gently raises your resting metabolic rate, meaning your body burns slightly more energy at rest than it would without it. Not dramatically, consistently, every day, over time. A review published in Obesity Reviews found that regular green tea consumption was associated with significantly reduced waist circumference, specifically crediting the combination of EGCG and green tea's small natural caffeine content working together to produce this effect. Not black coffee alone, not supplements, green tea specifically. More than 200 peer-reviewed studies have examined EGCG. The consistent findings across institutions, including Harvard Medical School, include improved insulin sensitivity, enhanced liver function, reduced inflammation markers, and that quiet, consistent increase in fat burning during rest. But here is why Japan actually drinks it. Not for the EGCG, for the 2 minutes of stillness that making and holding a cup of tea creates in the middle of a busy morning. The warm cup, held without a screen. The deliberate pause. The ma. The intentional space between tasks that Japan builds into every hour of the day. In a morning built around warm water, morning light, a gentle walk, and a cup of green tea held quietly, the nervous system has received more metabolic support than most people receive in an entire day. Replace your second coffee with green tea tomorrow. Mid-morning between 10 and noon is the optimal window, after the adenosine has cleared and morning cortisol has naturally begun to decline. Give it 3 weeks. The waist circumference research used 3 weeks as its minimum measurement threshold. And now, habit 7. This is the habit I told you about at the beginning. The one about what you should not be putting into your brain. The one most morning routines never consider. And the reason most people fail to maintain every single habit that came before it. Habit 7, Seijaku, 30 minutes of morning stillness before the world begins. For the first 30 minutes after waking, Japan does not reach for its phone. 30 minutes, the phone stays down. The notifications wait. The news waits. The emails wait. Research from IDC found that 80% of smartphone users check their devices within 15 minutes of waking. Most of us are inside that 80%. Here is what that does to every single habit you have been building in this morning. The moment you look at your phone, your brain receives a flood of incoming information. Each notification, each headline, each piece of data triggers a microspike of cortisol paired with a microspike of dopamine. In 5 minutes of morning scrolling, your nervous system has shifted from the calm, naturally declining cortisol state of waking into a reactive, elevated alert state. Dr. Anna Lemke at Stanford, whose research on dopamine and compulsive behavior is among the most cited in modern psychiatry, has documented that this early morning stimulation raises the brain's dopamine baseline threshold for the entire rest of the day. Your brain now requires more stimulation, more urgency, more cortisol-driven alertness just to feel normal, which means more cortisol sustained for longer, which means more abdominal fat storage signal sustained for longer, every single day. Your phone at 6 in the morning undoes the warm water. It undoes the morning light. It undoes the 90-minute coffee delay. It fires the cortisol system before the morning has had the chance to regulate it. Seijaku, the Japanese concept of stillness and tranquility, is not a formal practice. It is simply the decision that the first 30 minutes of the day belong to you before they belong to anyone or anything else. Drink your warm water, step outside for your light, walk, make your tea, eat your breakfast slowly, and let the morning complete itself before you hand it to the world. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, move your phone charger to the other side of the room. Not to punish yourself, to remove the decision from the morning. When the phone is not within reach, you do not have to choose not to look at it. That choice is already made. 30 minutes tomorrow morning, that is all. 7 habits, all free, all beginning before most people have finished their first cup of coffee. Warm water before caffeine, diluted lemon if your stomach allows, plain with salt if it does not. Morning light within 30 minutes of sunrise, even if that is later than you wake. The 90-minute wait before coffee. Hara, Hachi, Bu, the 3-breath pause at the halfway point of every meal. A 20-minute walk outside with your eyes open and your phone in your pocket. Green tea mid-morning held without a screen. And 30 minutes of Seijaku, your morning belonging to you before the world arrives. These are not hacks. They are not optimizations. They are not a program to follow perfectly and abandon by Friday. They are the daily architecture of a body that was never asked to fight itself. Japan did not discover these habits. It simply never stopped practicing them. While the rest of the world built gyms and diets and supplement industries around the problem, Japan kept doing what worked, quietly, consistently, before breakfast. The belly fat that will not move is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that nobody gave you the right information about what is actually causing it. Starting tomorrow morning, you have it. Before you go, one question. And I genuinely want your answer in the comments. Of these 7 habits, which one hit you differently than the others? Not the most interesting one. The one that produced a specific feeling of recognition when you heard it. The quiet discomfort of something that is already true about your morning. Leave it below right now. I read every single one. And if this changed the way you understand what your body actually needs in the morning, share it with one person in your life who has been working incredibly hard to change their body and running out of explanations for why nothing is moving. The explanation may be simpler than either of you thought. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.